Hello everyone. In this tutorial we are going to be looking at sculpting a character head in ZBrush. This is a follow-on tutorial from sculpting the hands, arms, feet, legs and torso. If you haven't watched those videos then please check them out first on my channel. If you are completely new to ZBrush then I do advise watching my basic sculpting tutorial first. Okay, so by now you should have good reference material to be constantly observing throughout completing a character. So sculpting the head can be quite a difficult task to perfect. After all, we do spend a lot of our time looking at each other's faces, so we are naturally quite savvy with the subtle differences. A technique I like to employ to simplify this process is called the Loomis Method. So here I have a photo of my lovely self, and on the right here I've traced over a slight breakdown of what I will be visualizing when I'm sculpting my actual character. Okay, so firstly we will be starting with a sphere, or in this case a 2D circle. It's important that this circle is perfect. The bottom of this circle will meet the mouth and the top of it will be the highest point of the head, excluding the hair. Secondly, we will squash the sides of this circle in slightly to create a smaller circle that will be the side plane of the head. This circle should be roughly 2/3 the size of the bigger circle. Okay, thirdly, we shall pull out the bottom of the big circle to create the chin. Now the distance from the hairline to the chin can be broken down into these three equally sized sections. The hairline to the bottom of the brows to the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. If you're struggling to visualize how that might look in a 3D program, here are some 3D images to help demonstrate how this might look from different angles. Okay, so let's dive in. I've split my screen, so I've got some of my reference images on the right here. I'm going to create a sphere and convert it to a Polymesh 3D and append it as a new subtool. And as we just talked about, I'm going to squash it inwards for the side planes using the Move Topology brush and pull the lower part of it out to make the jaw. I'm adjusting its scale according to what I'm seeing on my reference images, just before I join the neck onto the body like so. I'm now ready to start sculpting. So as usual, I'll use the clay build-up brush to push in the eye sockets and pull out the nose accordingly. I'm going to work a little bit of the cheekbones here. So it's essential to keep moving around your character's sculpt and never be afraid to make big changes. Yes, it will temporarily look like a horrific alien, but keep working as schematically as you can and I assure you the results will come together. Just try not to get drawn into the little details. They really won't matter if your proportions are out. So as you can see, I'm constantly panning around and looking at multiple references here. The character I'm aiming to create, of course, is the concept piece that you saw at the beginning of the video. I'm trying to combine a couple of references together. You'll always have to use your imagination and creativity to help you. Now that the eye sockets are nicely pushed back, I'm going to append and mirror a sphere using the Z plugin, as we did when sculpting the torso. I find that using temporary spheres like this help when sculpting the eyelids. After all, the eyelids wrap around the eye, not the other way around. I'm also going to complete the ear by appending a box and sculpting out its rough shape before mirroring it over like so. So the biggest piece of advice I can give really is to never be afraid of making those big changes. With each sculpt you do, you'll improve as long as you are brave enough to experiment. As you can see, I'm making some very big changes here to the head shape using the mask brush and positioning gizmos. Something I like to do is to just add in where the iris and pupil will sit within the eyeball. This isn't going to be my final eye, but I do like to quickly add these features in to help me visualize the rest of the face. I try to avoid wasting my time smoothing out areas because I know that it is very likely I'll only end up distorting them over again. I'm using the damn standard brush for the creases around the eyelids and the nostrils. I've also used it to separate the lips at the moment, as I haven't pried open the mouth yet. Just like with the eyeballs, I'm going to append a new subtool for the hair and create a very quick sculpt of its shape. Now is a great point to look back at my concept art and start making some final changes. Even at this stage, you should never be afraid to make big adjustments. I do advise taking a break and looking at someone else's work after a while though. Our eyes tend to get used to seeing what is in front of them, and because of that, we lose that initial judgment that we have when we observe something with a fresh mind. I noticed that the neck was too long and the breasts hang down too low in comparison to that of my concept, so I've gone and adjusted those using the Move gizmos. I know it might appear like the body is Dynameshed down to the head, but I am actually keeping them as two separate subtools for the time being. For the individual strands across her face, I'm just masking out those areas, inverting the selection, and pulling them out with the Move topological brush. As I said, I don't intend for this to be my final hair, but it does help me to gauge exactly how it's going to look on my character in its final state. From here on out, it is very much a case of using your artistic merit to make those final adjustments. Always keep panning around and never stay in one place for too long. Okay, so that about wraps it up for this tutorial. As you can see, I have added a mouth to my character, but you don't have to. All I've done there is just sculpted the inside of the mouth using the Alt function on my brush setting, and I've hard surface modeled some of the teeth in Max. So I've got those as separate subtools and I've just added them in, but you don't have to, it's up to you. So, as usual, quite a few aspects to cover. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you do have any questions, post them below, and I'll catch you next time.